So I'm sure a lot of you are here at the moment because you are considering maybe ongoing professional learning and maybe a pathway into further education, into some kind of opportunity next year. So needless to say, we would love to have you in Maynooth. I'm not just saying this, but Maynooth is genuinely a lovely campus. The 5 departments that are involved in this certificate are really amazing educators. More importantly, all of the lecturers are really approachable, really accessible, and it's very much about building that relationship between the lecturers and the learning, and I suppose creating a collaborative and a safe learning space for everyone as well. So the certificate that we are offering, it's going to run again next year for the academic year 2024-2025. It's a 1-year commitment, so you'll be starting towards the end of September, and then generally the assessments will be finished up maybe by around the 2nd week of May, maybe 3rd week of May, depending on the module. So not quite the full year, but the full academic year. It's part-time, so it's designed to support anyone who is already working, and as a result, the lectures tend to be in the evening or at the weekends as well, just to support people in terms of accessing them. It's level 9, so it's a postgraduate certificate, and you receive 20 credits for completion of the certificate. And that's relevant because, people might be considering this as a pathway to further study, and I know that there are master's programs within some of the departments in Maynooth that then will recognise some of the credits that you have done on the GCE certificate. So again, that could be an appealing option for people that might be wanting to do a master's in the future or might want to continue on their study within Maynooth University. So it's not the case in all departments, but again, we'll be able to communicate with you what other master's programs are available to you if you decide to complete the cert. So as I said, I might have been focusing a little bit on formal education, but really it's open to anyone who has a commitment and a passion for global education working in any kind of context. And to be honest, that was the real beauty of the cert last year, was that we were in learning spaces with people that were coming from lots of diverse perspectives, working with adults, working with young people, working with, school students, but outside of the formal education sector, and working in a real interesting mix of places. So it was very much that everybody was on the learning journey and everybody was learning from each other and their context as we went along as well. Just in terms of the practicalities, the closing date for applications will be the 20th of June. Between ourselves, there might be a little bit of flexibility about that date, but maybe we'll stop the recording for that bit just in case I get into trouble. But again, it's only April now, so there's plenty of time for people to be thinking ahead as to whether or not it will suit them. Plenty of time for people to be working on the application, thinking about what type of modules you might want to take, what you would like to get out of it. And again, if there's any issues with that deadline, please just get in touch with myself or Patrick or Tom, who's the coordinator, whose details that I'll share. And again, in terms of the practicalities, you apply through PAC, which is the kind of postgraduate online form. I think it stands for processing applications in the cloud or something like that, but I better check that before you quote me on it. So that's the link there for the postgraduate courses in Maynooth University. As I mentioned, the lectures are designed to support people who are in employment. So they tend to be in the evenings or at the weekends. For example, my module, we decided was 3 full Saturdays, kind of 9 to 5, to really immerse ourselves in the context, just to build that relationship with the class and to provide space to, really reflect and have a little bit of time between sessions as well. My module was all in person. That was a decision that I made, I suppose, from having been a bit zoomed out, but also because of the sensitivity of some of the topics that we'd be talking about. I think it would be very hard for people to discuss some of those topics if we weren't face to face and weren't kind of feeling comfortable in each other's presence. I think one of the electives is exclusively online. So again, that might suit people depending on their situation. And then a lot of the modules then have some sort of hybrid component to it as well. So there might be 1 or 2 lectures online, and then you might come on campus for a Saturday half day or something like that. And again, going back to the evaluations, the face-to-face stuff was very, very valued by the participants in the certificate the first year around, in terms of having the opportunity to get to know the campus, avail of the library, get to know people in the class, and just have that, I suppose, university experience as well. Just to talk about the not so nice side of things there, which are the fees for the programme. So for next year, it is €1,600. And then there's also an additional student levy that goes to Maynooth for registration of €150. I should mention as well, for people planning ahead, if you apply through PAC, there is also a small fee of €50 to process your application as well. So that is all stuff you need to take into account when you're thinking ahead and budgeting. I would say that it's great news that there could be potentially bursaries available depending on what sector you're coming from. So if you're working in the adult or community sector, there might be funding available through CELTA. Worldwide Global Schools have very kindly agreed that post-primary teachers can use some of their funding towards their registration as well. We're exploring additional funding for primary teachers through Irish Aid and through DICE. So what I would say is that I know that not everyone will have access to funding for CPD through their organization. So if funding is, one of the main reasons that you would think about not doing it, or you would see it as being a potential barrier to you, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to, again, myself or Tom, who is the coordinator. His details are there, because there are opportunities for support and are opportunities for bursaries that we'd be happy to talk through with you. And then there's just some of the practical links there. Tom is the coordinator. He's in Patrick's department in international development and is an amazing coordinator and extremely helpful with any questions you might have about your particular situation or how it might work for you. And then that's the link there with all of the breakdown of the credits, the breakdown of the information, who's teaching the course, and the module descriptors as well. So I'll send these slides on. I think Elaine has them anyway. But if you just Google certificate in global citizenship education, the link comes up immediately. And then finally, I suppose, just to talk a little bit about the programme structure. So as Patrick said earlier, there's one compulsory module that Patrick coordinates and delivers that you get 10 credits for. And then the idea is then you would choose 2 elective modules for which you get 5 credits each. So you'll be doing 3 modules over the course of the year. So it might not seem like a lot, but as you can imagine, coming up to assessment time, or like in the second semester when you'll be doing 2 modules, it is something that you would notice, having to make space for within already busy lives. So Patrick's module is the compulsory one there. He's given you a very comprehensive outline of that. And again, going back to the evaluations, this was met very, very positively by students. So, across the board, they said that this module was a really essential kind of, I suppose, foundation through which then they could use to apply the learning to the electives then that ran in the second semester. So you do 1 compulsory module in the first semester, and then you choose 2 out of the 4 electives for the second semester as well. So the first one there is the one that I'll be delivering, and I spoke to you about, decolonising the curriculum, and that will be hosted by the Freble department in Maynooth University. The second one then is community work and youth work practice, local issues, global lens, and that's facilitated by Marianne O'Shea in the Department of Applied Social Studies. The next elective there is called Sharing the World, Education, Pluralism and Conflict, and that's delivered by the Department of Education in Maynooth, who work with post-primary teachers. That has quite a philosophical component to it. It's delivered by some of the philosophy team in the education department. And again, I suppose a big focus on criticality in that as well. The final one then is critical reflections on global citizenship education practice, and that's facilitated by the Department of Adult and Community Education in Maynooth. And again, very much a critical, reflective component to it. So very introspective module, very critically reflective, and again, utilising a lot of, I suppose, creative and innovative assessment methods as well. So thank you.